So LGBTQIA plus. So it's a very long acronym, and I think in the past some people have asked me, why do we have such a long acronym? Zarurat bhi kya hai? Because it's very complicated, and it gets very complicated for people from the community itself. Imagine how complicated it must be for people who are outside of the community. So I wanted to make this video to just explain why it's important to have a long acronym like this, and also why it's important for people from the community to understand what this acronym means. So most people know that LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender, but we also know that gender identity and sexual orientation is much broader than just these four letters. The LGBT can be extended to also include QIA+. Q stands for queer or questioning, I stands for intersex, A stands for allies or asexual, and the plus basically represents other identities like people who are pansexual, demisexual. In India, you also have H, which stands for Hijra, and various other identities that are very unique to India. Now, it's very important that we introduce all of these acronyms within the banner of LGBTQIA+, because they are also part of the marginalized group that gay people, lesbian people, bisexual people belong to. They also suffer very similar challenges that other parts of the LGBT community experience. So if you look at, for example, the Hijra community, which many gay, lesbian, bisexual people who live in cities typically don't want to associate with, this community also experiences a lot of discrimination, because you see people from the Hijra community begging on the streets. Many of them are disowned by their own parents and also disowned by society, and they cannot access jobs because of the way they identify and who they are, as and just generally how the way they are. Similarly, you have asexual people who we don't even talk about in society, and asexual people are also invisibilized in the media. And so the reason I wanted to make this video especially is because I've noticed that there are quite a few people even within the community who feel that it's not necessary to expand the acronym because it gets complicated, and some people also feel that it dilutes the cause, but I actually don't agree with that. I think that it's important for us to understand what all of these identities mean, and also understand what some of the new identities and new letters mean. So you have pansexual, you have demisexual, and although these identities are slightly more complicated even for me to understand, because for example, I'm still not clear as to what the difference between pansexual and demisexual is. I do know, however, that these are also people whose lived experiences are very different from my lived experiences, and they also face struggles in their friend circle, with their families, and also with society. And so it's important for us to understand what problems they are going through, and also help educate other people whenever we can about why it's important for us to be more inclusive.